Welcome to Expat Hoops. Today we talk with Chase Adams, who played for Pitt and Centenary Gentlemen and tried his hand at the D League and EABA before going overseas, where he is in the midst of a 10-year career, primarily in Germany.
But before we start, remember to hit the like button if you're watching this on YouTube. Write us a good review where you get your audio pods. It really helps us out. Now, if you'll join Tony and I in welcoming Chase to the pod. Welcome, Chase.
Thank you, Andrew and Tony, for inviting me.
Well, we're thrilled to sit down and talk with you. We've already had a pretty lively discussion off the pod. So one of the things brought up off the pod was that Tony and you are both former BCL grads. You wound up at Centenary Gentlemen to start off your college career after a really successful stint at Mount St. Joe's. How did you wind up at Centenary? And after that, how did your career go there, leading to the point where you had to transfer out, basically?
Yeah, so I came to Mount St. Joe to basically, fill the shoes of the legend, the great Brian Johnson. He ended up playing at Delaware University. And, Kalachi, he's the head coach there, and he's been there for years. He just has a great system of, getting the next in line, and I was like that next guy in line. And I was afforded the opportunity to actually get a lot of playing time very early in my sophomore year because of injuries. And it was just a really, really great experience. And, I was also playing off the ball. I'm a point guard, but I was able to play the two guard a lot. But it was a great experience, and we won so many games. And up until it was my time to be like that starting point guard and that guy who runs the team, we went off and had, an amazing season, record-breaking 38-1 season. We finished the regular season, was it 36-0 or 37-0, something like that. We were undefeated, and we lost our last game to DeMatha in the championship in the Alhambra tournament. So before that season, actually, I had signed to Centenary College of Louisiana, and that's quite interesting, actually, because, if I would have waited, maybe my opportunities would have been like endless and I would have had everybody knocking at my door. But I was so worried about not playing D1 and, all the work that I had put in. I just made that call, like, this is the opportunity I need. We're going to play the Texases, the Texas Techs, like the out of conference schedule was going to be really intense. And this was a way for me to like really get out there and get my name out there. And I was told that I was going to have the opportunity to start. So, I wasn't going to shy away from it. So I signed before that senior season, and I ended up having, the best season of my 4-year career at Mount St. Joe.
So it's interesting. So had you taken visits to Centenary, or was it pretty much sight unseen at that point in time?
Yeah, at that time, I wasn't getting so many offers, actually, and I was, pretty surprised, but I was still humble and just trying to just enjoy the experience. So I was able to head out to Louisiana and get a look at the campus, and I was just happy to be in the vicinity. I wasn't like, too proud or, too much like, feeling myself or anything. I was like, this is my time. This is my moment. And I'm just going to enjoy where I'm at. And I really enjoyed my visit, and I wrapped my head around it quickly. I was like, this is what I need to do. I'm just going to grab this before, this opportunity just goes to waste.
What division was Centenary in back then? I can't remember exactly. Do you remember? Not division, not D1, but like what conference is the better word I was looking for?
They were in the Mid-Continent Conference, and it later switched to the Summit League. They changed the conference.
They ended up in Summit, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't there forever, and that ended up being the reason that you transferred out. Tell us about what happened in that regard.
Yeah, so with all of the players who were coming in to the program and then leaving the next year, transfers, we weren't able to keep our team GPA at a certain level. And once it drops, the whole team will get penalized and put on basically like an academic probation. And during that period, we had a lot going on, changes of coaches and players leaving. Our team GPA just really dropped low, and they decided to put us on that probation, and it didn't allow us the opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament. and our school was considering going to Division III, all going on in that moment. I was like, this is something I don't want to be a part of. And I felt like I was outgrowing the school because I had such a great junior season. I trained, extensively, and I put in so much work that I was definitely one of the top players in all Louisiana. I was on the All Louisiana honorable mention team. I was defensive player of the year in the conference. And, I was just basically kind of like a young star in the league. So I was like, I'm just going to take my chances and, get into the transfer portal and see what happens.
The earlier days of the transfer portal.
Yes.
Yeah,
when it wasn't quite as busy and a bustly atmosphere as it used to be. Well, you found a pretty good landing spot, I would say. You ended up in Pittsburgh, in Western Pennsylvania, University of Pittsburgh. Tell us about your experience there. And I'd also like to hear about your unique experience so far of actually having the goal of playing overseas while you're in school.
Okay. Yeah. So it was really bittersweet playing for University of Pittsburgh because it was a complete culture shock being at the smallest Division I school in the nation and then going to one of the largest. The Oakland Zoo is credited to being one of the largest, loudest, fan bases in all of college sport, college basketball. So there's a lot of history there. There's a lot of tradition. And there were like a lot of things I just didn't know upon signing. I just knew that, they got the first leg up on me. And I was like, this is a chance of a lifetime to be on a team that was just in the Elite Eight. This is my opportunity to get to the NBA or play high level overseas. So it was definitely not only a culture shock, but just even a basketball, just learning the business shock, because you can be the man in one situation and it actually could be more beneficial for you than joining a team with a lot of players that are great, that maybe that opportunity might diminish, how you can actually perform on the court. And that's kind of what happened in my situation. I was not really adapting to their system and things that were going on. I mean, I tried my best, but, it is tough being a senior coming into a situation where the school is kind of redeveloping and getting their identity back because they lost, a big core of their team. And they actually had much of a young core now. When I got there, there was only two other seniors and one was a walk-on. So it was me and another player who were seniors who played a majority of the minutes. So it was just a good experience though, because I learned a lot and it helped me to balance things out once I got into that professional space. And your other question, I knew that I wanted to play professional ball, period. I knew that this is my calling and this is what I wanted to do because of the work and the dedication I had since I was a young kid, since I was, getting into the game, getting my feet wet. And I knew from making that transfer to Pitt that no matter what happened or what was going on, my next steps were to follow that path to getting paid to do what I love. So that's ultimately what it was. I had my mind fixed and my mind made up. Plan A was to play professional ball, whether it be the NBA or overseas.
So one of the things that we always struggle with, because just about everybody that we talk to so far, and I mean, this is probably slated to be episode 42, everybody that's played obviously is playing at a really high level. They've always been one of the better players on their team, depending on what the level is. Everybody wants to or maybe aspires to play professionally, whether that's NBA or something lower. But when did it become something that was maybe less of a dream but more of actually putting it into practice for you? Was it maybe after your junior year when you were transferring, or at what point were you really kind of like looking like, okay, in order to be in the NBA or to be overseas, this is what I have to do, and start like doing those types of things?
I'm not sure if it were really a reality when I was in college per se. I just knew that I was still grinding until I got a call. Like I was thinking, okay, when I get to this point of, getting an offer, I'm going to have to get an agent. And I ended up getting an agent after my senior year. But I didn't feel it was really a reality until I went on the process of trying to try out in the D League, because this was the moment, because I didn't have the best statistical season playing at Pitt. Like everything, it was like starting over. I basically didn't have much going for me after my senior season, but I did have the backing of Pitt. So that kind of opened a few doors, and I was able to go to a tryout down in Dallas, Texas. And, unfortunately, it just didn't pan out. I really thought I was doing my thing, but, politics also play a role, and you got to be able to, network and be in the right spaces and know the right people. And I don't think I had much of a push in that sense. I didn't know much of what to do, but then and there, I knew, like, it's still a possibility. I'm in this venue, I'm in this space, and I'm competing like against some dudes that are gonna have opportunities to maybe play in the NBA, and I'm doing my thing. So I know somebody's gonna see me, and they're gonna be like, "Man, you need to come over here. You need to go there." And that's basically when things started to become a reality. And just quickly, like, of course I didn't make it to the D League. That's not, that didn't happen in my path. I ended up having to play in the ABA. And if you guys know anything about the ABA, it's playing basketball for free, essentially. Like, some clubs, some organizations can pay, but I was playing for free. I was practicing and doing everything for free, like going to games and all that. But once again, it was just a really great experience. And, I was always in that mode to stay ready. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And when I was down there, I was like headstrong, like, okay, this is gonna crack. I'm gonna make this work no matter what. I don't care that I'm here right now. I know that my end goal will be playing overseas, and that's what happened. It came through in January 2011. That's when my start happened.
So I have actually two questions before we get into that. We'll let Tony do the intro to overseas basketball, but one of the things that you said that really stuck out to me was that you had the backing of Pitt. If you could kind of elaborate what you mean by that, because we've talked to sometimes people before where we talk about, like, and this also, converges with politics, that sometimes these places have coaches that, oh, hey, here's my guy, whether they're the ones that get in the NBA, that, they come with the backing of, somebody like Tom Izzo or Mike Krzyzewski or whatever. What exactly about Pitt was something that really kind of helped push you at that stage?
I mean, plain and simple, when someone looks at your resume, when they look at your profile, I mean, that's going to be the first thing they see. Where did he come from? And when you're fresh out the gate, that's going to be, at the top of the list. I'm going against that kid from Pitt versus the kid from, Texas Southern or something, or, some Lafayette or something, like a small school. And
I mean, even Cincinnati, right? Really?
Cincinnati, yeah. Yeah,
if we're honest.
But you know what? It's also about who you know and like who you're connected with too, because you can be in smaller spaces and get seen over people who, are at the high levels in D1 or G League or wherever. But when you get your name out there, when you're a top player, nothing matters. It doesn't matter where you're from. But that just let alone me having the Pitt will get me into certain conversations, because they'll say, oh, he didn't really do much here, but dang, like, he made it here. He's a player on this Pitt team. So let's see what he's about. Let's give him a chance. Let's give him a tryout. And that's basically essentially what goes down. Like, sometimes your resume can speak for itself.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we're seeing sometimes now with the transfer portal, of some people that might transfer from a mid-major up to a high major and maybe not do as well, but that also could potentially be the benefit, is that now they have the backing of a Duke, a UNC, a Miami, whatever the case may be. So that's kind of an interesting perspective, and that's why I wanted to kind of drill down on that. But another thing that I think was interesting about what you said about the ABA, you actually split time between two different teams. What was the story there in terms of, was there one that was able to pay better than the other, or what was the reason for the switch?
And with this situation, I actually was with the Dallas Impact team. They were just my start. They were just the first people to approach me, honestly. So I was like, well, I got to do something while I'm out here. I got to make something work. I stayed in close contact with a lot of the Legends people, and in hopes that maybe I could still make it past the training camp, maybe to the practice squad or something. Because that's what a lot of hoopers do. They try to do anything and everything to get, to where they want to, be ultimately. And I was in that space. I was playing with this one club, but I could tell that there was another club that was just a little more professional. But I didn't actually like deal with them until a little bit. I had actually played pro at after Dallas Impact, and when I came back home, I got involved with this other ABA team. So I was just in talks with them, and I was able to play like summer basketball with their with their team, and in that gap year that I've had, I was able to play with them a lot too as well.
And so you get through your experience in basketball in the U.S., you get your first shot overseas. It's German fourth league team, SVD in Dortmund, the 49ers, not San Francisco or Charlotte, but Germany. So tell us about your experience first in the German fourth league. Germany is a great place to start out. What was your fourth league experience like?
Truly amazing, because I got to be the man again. At that time, they were allowing you to have 2 imports on the court at once, and you could have up to about 3 imports on your roster. And it was me and 2 other gentlemen, Josh Washington and Tyson Johnson. And I was the point guard, so I didn't really have to split minutes with them. I got to play a lot of minutes, and the coach, he really the agent that got me to this point, they had great conversations, and they saw that this was like the best fit for me. And that's something I learned about the business early on, like finding, and this coach is still someone that, Hanno Stein, he's someone who's definitely still a mentor and a friend of mine in my life. We just had a great chemistry and a great fit. And I was able to like really rock out, and I was really able to, adjust and adapt to the European style quickly through his coaching, and just, he was allowing me to be me, and he was giving me opportunities to really shine. So that was like a true blessing, because not a lot of guys get that opportunity. Sometimes there's a lot of conflict with the coach, and coaches have in their mind what they want for the player to do. But he was like, you know what? I'm gonna let you do your thing. I'm gonna let you lead the team, and I'm gonna let you rock out, because I know you're a good guy, and I know that you're gonna have a infectious way about you that's gonna make our team run. Because they brought me in actually because the team was doing really poorly, and they were on the verge of dropping down to the league below. So that's where my start was, and it was just a tremendous blessing to just be back. Not even be back, to actually be a professional. So it was just culture shock. Also, just learning the life, and the court in the basketball court. The people were embracing me. It was amazing.
Like, when you're talking about the people embracing you, what was a game like down at that level in Germany? We've talked to some people that have played in the basketball Bundesliga and everything, but what was the experience like specifically down in the fourth league? It's a little bit different of experience, but what was that like playing there at that time in terms of people, fans, and in the environment, I guess is what I'm getting at.
It's funny, it's almost the same, it's just smaller scale. So the first league is big arenas, big stadiums, a lot of culture. Like, people have been fans for 20 plus years, and they bring their drums out. They drink and do their thing before the games. They have their chants, and it's just very loud in the gym. Now, just small scale it, and you still got your culture. You still got your fans. You got your beer drinking, and people are coming to the game, and they're just shouting. They're cheering you on. They got your jersey. Sometimes, people buy your jerseys, or whatever the case may be. They just try to make it lively and fun. And after the game, they want to, embrace you, just, party with you, and do just be around you, because they like the energy that you bring to not only the city, but to the team. This is what we're performers. So we're performing for the people, and they enjoy what we do out there, and they that kind of sticks with you. I got a lot of fans who are like friends and family to me to this day as well.
So you move on up to a second league team, Science City Jena, as they were known just before you got there as Palm Baskets Jena in the city. What was the gradient between those 2 leagues at that point? Because you started out in the fourth league. Even in Germany, the fourth league is still a pretty high level basketball. You're now up to the second league, just below the Bundesliga.
Yep. So then again, this was one of those situations where I kind of got into a situation I didn't really know much about, but I knew that this is where I needed to be. I was like, okay, I'm definitely like a second league player. Like I'm at least a second league player. Fourth league, I did my thing. So it was faster pace, of course. There's just more imports on the court. The Germans are better. The younger Germans are better. The organization is just, more professional. So, first league is by far the most professional. And then second league is right there. A lot of clubs, like even to this day, Science City, Jena, they've played in the first league as well. So when they come back to the second league, they're one of the more, dominant teams because of their professionalism, the money that they have, and so on and so forth. So when I got there, it was really cool because we made the playoffs. My team was very solid. I was actually a backup point guard, and I got to learn again how to, be someone who's not the center focus of the team, and you got to play your role. So I got back into that role mentality, and I had to figure out how to work it and how to maneuver in that space, which is difficult at times when you go from being the center focus to being a role player. So it was good. It was just one of those moments that you need to learn quick and figure out how you can, impact the team in whatever way without having a fall off. When the starter's in and maybe the coach is feeling him more, he needs to get him going. This is the guy he's rocking with. You got to come in and bring, if not that energy, but more, So these are things that I learned in that second season.
So this is the portion where we get to, now you played a lot in Germany. There's going to be a lot more discussion to come, but this is the part on the internet where you disappear, at least in terms of hard to track. So this is the one where we turn it over to you and tell us what happened between that season, the end of that season, and when you, to the internet, reappear in 2015, 2016.
Mm-hmm. So I don't really like to talk about this much, but during that stint, when I made it to second league, it was something that was reminding me of something I've been through before, that being when I was at Pitt. And I had just a little trouble that was off the court, and it just put me in just kind of like a dark place and put me in a position that wasn't really healthy for me. And, I think it just brought a lot of negative energy, not only toward me as an individual, like who I am, but just my name in general. And I feel like I wasn't able to get good looks. I didn't really have an agent at that time, I believe. I didn't have a agent at all at that time. So those things kind of, put you in the dark. Now you're back at ground zero again. So I was literally back in that mode again. And my first coach from my first season overseas, Hano, he was helping me, and he helped me throughout my whole career, but he was helping me try to navigate and get, the next job. And I actually was being too prideful, and I was being one of those players who's like, no, I'm not going to take anything lower than second league. I need to be back here. I need to really show them, what was going on, like who I really am. But I wasn't getting anything. And I was offered some third league jobs, but I actually turned them down. It's funny, but I turned them down. And I was not playing that whole season. So that was another learning lesson. There's players who turn down jobs all the time. And sometimes they're right, but that's why agents, they know the market, and they can tell you like, look, man, you better take this job because you might not get another job like this because of your stats or whatever. They heard about your off court situation or whatever the case may be. So, I just had to chalk it up. I was just like, I'm just going to get back in the lab. I'm going to go home. I went back to America and I tried to figure it out. And I went to a lot of tryouts, travel tryouts. I went to like Colombia, Panama City. I went to a little exhibition out in Holland. I went to Groningen tournament, and I was doing my thing. I was like, look, I got to get back on. So I was really performing at a high level. And you hear a lot of guys doing these little travel expos and nothing popping from them. And it's true. It's almost like a gimmick. It's like they just do it to get money or whatever. I don't know what some of these travel exhibitions are for, but nothing really materialized out of it. And I didn't use that time to get down. I just got a job, and I saved up a lot of money, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go back at it again. I'm gonna try and get back on again. And I was afforded an opportunity to go play in third league Germany. And I was like, okay, this time I'm not going to turn it down. So I don't know why this isn't up there, but I played in Bochum, Germany, third league. That's Pro B. And for whatever reason, I was brought in there. I got the starting position. I was leading the team in assists. I was maybe third in scoring. But the business, we were losing. And I was the starting point guard, even though I had to split minutes with another guard. Just imagine if I would have just played a little more, I probably would have led the team in scoring or whatever. But the situation was I had to split time with another guard. And for some reason, odd reason, even though I had great statistics, I was the one let go. They let me go because we started the season out so bad. And I was basically almost homeless. I was out in Germany and I didn't have anywhere to go. And I just asked one of my teammates, could I just stay with him? I didn't want to go home right away because you never know, you might get an opportunity to play for the next team. So I was homeless and I actually met my wife that's now, and we were just kicking it. We went to Paris. So this is just a funny story. We went to Paris. She was like, I just want to take you to Paris one time. I went to Paris and I had a flight to go home the next day. And my first coach hit me up and was like, hey, man, come to Austria and we're going to look for a job opportunity for you out here. Just come out here. We can get you something working for this club. It was called Wels Flyers in Austria, and their first league team. And I was signed on as a practice player with maybe the possible hopes of actually playing. And I really was, I'm trying to get back on. So trust me, I was in like crazy shape. I'm in practice, like literally, I was like a player on that team, just never given the opportunity to play. So I was literally signed on as a practice player and I played for their B team, which is something that's not recorded in any record books or anywhere. So that was just a chance to stay in shape and connect with people. And I met a lot of people. And funny story, one of the assistant coaches there ended up being he was the one who vouched for me to be a coach later on in my career. But see how relationships work, how funny that is. But that's what happened in that gap year. I went to Austria and I did that practice player situation. I played for the B team. And then after that, still no jobs, nothing coming my way. Check this out. I played 6 league in Germany.
Ooh.
I played 6 league for a season. I was a coach of my own team. So this was the SVD team, the S5D team. I was a coach. I was a youth coach, and I was a player on that team that I was coaching. We were like, so after Regio, 4th league, it's not professional. So I don't call this professional. So after 4th league, it's like Regio 2. And then there's a league below that called Landesliga. I played in that Landesliga. So that's technically like 6th league. This is wild. So I played there and just, networked a little bit. And that's when I met the people at Paderborn. I tried out for Paderborn, but they already had a point guard and they didn't want to release him. You can't just cut people just all willy-nilly. So they kept him.
Depending on where you are.
Depending on where you are. Yeah, there's some stories out there. But Germany's one of those good countries. You sign that contract and everything's shaping. It's not a trial contract. It's solid. They can't just cut you out of nowhere. They got to pay you. So I tried out for Paderborn. It wasn't going to work at that time. So they kept my contact. We kept in a close relation. The next season, I got back on to 2nd league Germany. So that's where my story just picks back up and elevates after that.
I can definitely see why you disappeared from the internet during that time period.
Yeah.
You were trying to stay present, but you definitely, dropped off the radar screen a little bit to other people.
Yes. Crazy.
For sure. That's quite a story. And that's quite a 2 or 3 years that you had there where you were just trying to stay afloat. We have people on this podcast, they take a year off for injury, they in between different things, but that's a pretty crazy professional story in terms of dropping off, as you said, basically playing semi-pro or not even pro basketball to getting back in at Paderborn later on. and playing 2 seasons there.
That probably hits like the most, there's certain portions of that story we've heard from other people, but that's the only one I think that hits them just about all, because you were a player coach. Also, in terms of being over there, you also kind of hit on the part where sometimes it's better to be over on the continent, in terms of getting your next job. They don't want somebody who's like, oh, well, can you be here tomorrow, versus somebody that's like, well, I'm over in Maryland. It'll take me a day or whatever to get there. So there's lots of things there that kind of hit other stories that we've heard, but just never all together at once quite like that.
Yeah, for sure. It was a wild roller coaster ride that I was on in that 2-year span. So
so I know you kept in shape, and you did have some playing time. You're still playing basketball, but what was it like getting back in with Paderborn in the 15-16 season, getting your feet back underneath you for a professional franchise?
Yeah, that was really refreshing. The organization was amazing. They really took care of me and my wife. It was just a moment to show what I got, what I can do. And I took full advantage of that, and learning, as you can see, what happened in my prior, in the start of my career. I was like, well, I'm not going to take my chances gambling, trying to, play on the market, go higher, even though I had good stats. I was like, let me try and build something a little bit. Let me return back to this club, if they offer, and they did. And that was good for your career too. Like if any players are listening to this, if you get an opportunity to return to your club and they treated you well and they paid you on time and, everything else is square, you should definitely go back and give it a second chance. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes, even if it's low money, it looks better if, you stick with a club for, X amount of years. So that helped out a lot, building my reputation back up.
Well, and with Paderborn, you wound up spending 2 seasons there. Was that something that when you signed on, was it 1 year with an option, or was that a straight 2-year contract?
That was actually a 1-year contract, and they were like, look, we like you, we want you to stay. And they offered me for the next season.
Okay. So that's interesting. So this is the first time, not the last time, but the first time playing overseas that you stay in one spot for 2 seasons. You still actually stay in Germany for the next season. Take us what that was like. It's still the same league, but what was it like now switching to another team in the league and another location, and what was your experience like in that particular city?
Yeah. So this is interesting. The team I played for, Paderborn, was definitely better than the team that I ended up going to, but they had more money. They didn't and that was just literally it. I was just like, okay, well, now it's time to earn more money. I got to make some money doing this thing. So I took on that opportunity. And plus I liked the coach, Simon Cody. He was American guy who had a German a point guard there that I really admired. He was tough. He kind of embodied what I embody on the court, and that's just grit and toughness and just like a dog mentality. Like that's me. I'm, if you know anything about Mount St. Joe, we're defenders, and we scrap, and we are very, very physical and feisty on the court. So I was able to pair up with a good German guard backcourt, and I got to play point guard and shooting guard. So that also diversified me. So that was a good opportunity because I was able to lead a young team. I was one of the older guys, and I was able to lead a young team we had rookies, a lot of rookie imports. We had 4 rookie imports, and we made it to the playoffs. So, all those things panned out well for me as a resume builder, and that was a great situation to definitely show that I can have the ball in my hands a lot, but I can also step off the ball and catch and shoot if you need me to, and defense is not even a question. It's not even a problem. I can defend in the post. I can pick up full court. So I got to really display a lot of my game during that year. It's a good year for me.
So the next season, you actually started off again in Germany's second league with the Rostock Seawolves. Only 5 games though. Take us through what that experience was like.
I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. That's actually not what happened. I don't know why it's not in there. I actually, guess what? I went back to third league.
Oh, okay.
This is funny how life works. I really didn't get any solid traction after that season, even though I led my team to the playoffs. I had my stats. Yeah, I don't even want to go through them because you're just gonna be like, how in the world did you not? I'm not a bad guy. I'm not a killer like in my private life. I didn't get anything solid going into that next season. So I ended up playing third league again.
You know, that's a common refrain amongst some people that we've had in the pod too, because a lot of times it isn't really a matter of statistical dominance. You know, it's a matter of being in the right place at the right time. In addition to that, we've had a lot of people that are like, this is the best season of my career, and I didn't have any job prospects, just like you just had. Exactly. And it's just like, I emphasize this a lot because it's remarkable how much like a regular job basketball is once you get outside of the tip-top professional league and being there and establishing yourself over the course of like 4 or 5 years, like being in the NBA or something like that. Yeah. It's just business as usual, you know, trying to network and trying to find your way in the world, because there's a lot of jobs out there. You just got to be able to find them, and they have to be able to find you at the same time. And so here you are back in the German third league. Who are you playing for, and what was that like to be there after the season you had?
This season I played for BBC Coburg, and that's in the Bavaria area, close to Nuremberg, not too far from Munich. It was a great experience, great people, a lot of potential for that club. You know, they just had to figure some things out. They brought me in once again because they were not doing well. They actually were supposed to be relegated to the league below. But because of some situation with teams, you know, they were allowed to keep their position in the Pro B, which is the third league. And they started out like 0-4. So I already started out in a tough situation. Like we were, you know, already down 4 games. And, you know, the objective is to not, you know, be relegated, not be put in a position to play in what they call the play downs, not the playoffs to excel up. It's like to not go down. So we got to that point in that season. And, you know, luckily we were able to steer them off and fight through that adversity and stay in the league. But we definitely did better than they did the years before. So I was proud of what I did in that season. I was up for a Player of the Year nominee and all that. So had another bang out season. So I was wondering what would happen after that.
As an aside, where did this Rostock Seawolves thing come from?
Very interesting story. After that Hano season, so before I went to third league again, I was in talks with them, and for some odd reason, the talks had fell through, and that's why I ended up playing third league. For some odd reason, talks went through. Maybe it's money. That's all I could think of. I don't know if it's because of player ability, and that's always the question. Sometimes people will just pick players because, I don't know, they just they can dunk the ball. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they look at the advanced analytics or whatever. They care that I can shoot threes like it's nothing, but you know.
I'm sure while analytics are becoming something of second nature to most sports, I don't know if once you get into the bottom tier, second and third team leagues, you know, that requires a lot of monetary commitment to make an analytics department. And also the monetary commitment isn't really there sometimes.
I was going to bring that up actually in the earlier job you were talking about, where you're splitting time with the other point guard, and, you know, you're third in the team in scoring, you're leading in assists and everything. It's just like, well, I mean, even if the overall statistics aren't there, cutting the statistics another way in terms of how much over the period of time that you're playing also tells a drastically different story. And that was actually where I was going to bring this up before, is that maybe your overall numbers weren't the tippy top, but then when you're looking at basically on a per basis, they would be. So that was something that I actually was going to bring up earlier that I didn't, but it just seems like there may not be the same analytical commitment at least not at that time, and maybe now, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if if that plays a role, a great role in how players are picked up. Maybe in the second league, maybe in the NBA. I'm sure they have to use these analytics to really base their opinions or make their decisions, not their opinions, on what players to pick. But like I said, these politics will really play a role, and potential plays a role. Money just plays a role. All these little factors can just really decide what's going to go on. But as you can see, I don't know the rhyme or reason. I talk to a lot of players across leagues, and like we've been discussing right now, you really don't even have a rhyme or reason why something may not be. It's just as simple as maybe the player has to open his mouth, and go out and try and seek these opportunities. Your agent is supposed to do these things, but sometimes that's not even enough. Sometimes you have to go out there and do your due diligence, learn the leagues, meet people. When you're in passing, talk to the coaches, just lend an ear, here's something they got to say, kick some stuff to them. And that's how the business is really, really run. It's off the relationships and even the players that you play against, because that's how these other jobs after that the Pro B situation, that's how I got all these other opportunities.
So you do wind up actually with Trier, and it's not quite 2 seasons. It's like the end of a season, or well, a large portion of the season actually, and then you wind up staying for the next season as well. Take us through how you wound up getting there and how that experience went.
So it was a really bad debacle going to Rostock. This might have to be a book, because I am not going to go through this. I'm just going to look disgruntled and angry. You're just going to be like, this dude is he's getting picked on and he's just mad about it. Okay.
We can always do that as an extra. We could just let it go. But for the sake of this pod, we'll move on.
this is just literally just a little brief, leading into the Trier job. So Rostock passed up on me. I played Pro B, right? After that season, I killed. They come back on the table and we're talking. They want to go through with it. I sign a contract. First contract I ever signed, it was like 3 years. I signed a bigger contract. I actually signed it was an option-based contract actually. And I can't really talk too much about that, but I signed a contract with them, but things did not go well. We started out bad. And the funny thing is, they brought me in on a nice deal like this, but I was not a starter. I played 13 minutes a game, and it had nothing to do with my work ethic. I'll let you know, I was in the gym 24/7. I was very respectful. I was on time. I was at that point. I'd been through so many experiences. I know what not to do. So I was always on point. But long story short, our team was plagued with injuries. That's literally the point. It was bad chemistry with the team, and we're just plagued with injuries. I was a player who, I'm not even going to say all the scapegoat mess, but point being, we weren't doing good. I was the guy who played 13 minutes a game. We're going to let that guy go. So we talked it out, blah, blah, blah. We were able to come to a mutual agreement because I wanted to continue to play. So this is where relationships come into play. One of the players that I played with, Till Glogger, he's now with Rostock now, actually. He was at Trier, and basically we just got into communication. I reached out to him, and he was thinking about reaching out to me because one of their players, their German point guards, had got hurt. Simon Schmitz. He had got hurt for the entire season, basically. So they were down a point guard, and he basically vouched for me. He told the coach, like, hey, you should talk to him, give him a call. He's the guy that we need on this team. And this is Trier. This was like, whoa, guys, like, this is what I've been asking for since I've been in the Pro A. This is the team that embodies what I'm about. Like, I need to go play for that organization at some point. Playing in all these games in the Pro A, I was like, Trier is that club that's like, okay, that's the club I need to go to. So that was like just a call from God. There was another player on that team, Jermaine Buckner. He's a ex-Canadian national team player. he also vouched for me as well. So 2 players putting into the pot that this is the guy we need to bring on to the team. I was afforded that position to just slide in and come in. And I wasn't thinking much. I could have been the starting point guard, but I wasn't asking for much. I was just like, damn, I just left this situation. I'm trying to do my thing. I just want to play basketball. So I get there and we take off. I'm talking about we take off. When I get in, I had that, I got a chip on my shoulder, like, of course, naturally. And the chip is humongous. And we go on like an 8-0 streak or something, 7-0 streak, 7-0 run. And I'm making a lot of noise. Fans are loving us. This is right before the COVID crackdown. So then boom, COVID hits. And I'm talking about we were on a run. This is like, imagine somebody who's going through all this BS having this end your season. Like the COVID thing hit and I was just like, no, this isn't my life right now. You know what I mean? This is yet again another opportunity to shine. This is what you're doing. So COVID happens and they put a halt to our games and I'm in immediate scramble mode. I'm like, look, I need to talk to somebody, agent, like, what's up? I want to come right back here. When things clear out, I want to come right back to this organization. And a lot of mess happened. They actually let go of the head coach, which was like not in my best interest. I was like, wow, that sucks. Like, who's going to be the next coach? They players are leaving and things of that nature. I'm just like sitting there like, what's going to happen? They announced that they're bringing back one of their old coaches that actually seen me play and I played against. So my agent wasn't telling me much like about them trying to bring me back on. And it was looking like they were going to go in a whole different direction. So me, like I said, you got to build your relationships. You got to network. You got to talk. You got to open your mouth and find out what's going on. You can't just sit back and expect things to happen. I get on LinkedIn. You can get a basketball job.
It's a job.
That's not the best advice, but it's true. This is
a
real
job.
Story. I did my own agent work. I got on LinkedIn. I messaged the coach and I was like, look, man, I ain't gonna tell you my copy because I don't want anyone to copy my work that I did. But I messaged him and I basically wanted to set up a meeting and I basically just, networked my way back into that team. And he added me to, he put me on the roster for the next season.
It's crazy. I've actually, the funny thing is when I do a lot of my research, I will find some things on LinkedIn from time to time, and it's helpful in filling in the gaps. But I've also kind of wondered if it was mostly be like, how's my actual thought process is like, this can't be something that like they're really doing for basketball. It must be something that like, for post basketball, like just to say, yep, I was a professional athlete during this period of time, and this is where I was or whatever. Mm-hmm. That story changes my whole perspective.
You got to shoot your shot, man. You got to shoot your shot.
I mean, it was effective.
Ball is life. Ball is life.
Yep.
Ball is life, as we were saying just before we came onto the podcast. But sometimes it's not life. And now we get into the fact that you took the season off for family purposes. You've had a year off of basketball, probably still stayed in shape. What's it been like not playing?
It's been actually enjoyable. Some of the negative or the bad things that come along with being a pro can wear you down over times. And COVID was one of those things. I'm looking at what's going on in some leagues. They had fans and now they're removing them because of the protocols, health protocols. That kind of stuff actually does have an effect on you in the way you have to move, come into practice, all the tests you have to take. Some of that stuff is at times stressful, annoying, and it just doesn't make the game fun, and also it's just nice to look at life in a new perspective because I don't have any plans on slowing down, don't get me wrong, but it is nice to think about, what else can I do? What else can I tap into? How else can I, level up in a sense? And, that's what I've been figuring out in this time being home and just, really just bonding with my family, just becoming a stronger family. It's been great.
And so you did say that you don't have any plans on slowing down. Do you have any leads on the future right now?
Yeah. Well, there's still an opportunity, there's still that open area to play. So I do have some hope that maybe I can get on somewhere, preferably outside of Germany, actually, because after going through all these experiences, it came to my attention that maybe I need to direct my mindset and my time and efforts to leagues outside of Germany, because now I can really show a new side of me, just not be typecasted. You know, I feel like sometimes you can get typecasted as in, oh, this guy, he's just a pick and roll dunker, or, oh, he's just a facilitator. And I want that opportunity to really showcase my game and not just be, okay, we just want you to be that leader, that OG veteran that, comes in and leads the troops. But where does that leave me at the end of the season if I have no stats, or if we're not winning, or, whatever the case may be? So my thing is, I want to have fun, I want to play, and I want to win. So I want to be in a position where I can do those things, and not have any of the politics or other mess that, comes along with it.
Now, whether you play another game or not, what are your future plans when the time comes to hang it up?
Yeah. So my future plans, it's funny you say this. I just legitimized my personal training business, Chase Athletics. You're getting an exclusive here right now. We're going to be live and direct in the new year. So that's going to be something I'm jumping in full head of steam. I've been training people for years, but I never, got it officially off the ground. And now it is. And that's going to be like my main focus, tapping into that. And then I have some other, ventures and things that I'm going to get into, like real estate and other things of that nature, just making my portfolio much stronger. And that's just what it is for athletes. We have to figure ways to provide for our families, and we have to figure ways to land on our feet. And you're hearing through my story, I've always found a way to land on my feet, and I'm doing what I love to do, which is training, it's coaching, it's wellness. And that's just the avenue that I know that I can impact others' lives best with. Performing was my one thing. That was like my art. That was my baby, like, getting up in the gym and perfecting my craft. But now it's like, okay, let me use some of these tools and all the things that I learned about my health and wellness, because I'm a in shape guy, I have great health. I want to relate this to other people. I want people to have this type of energy when they go about their work life, and when they go set out to go to work, they feel much better about themselves. They look in the mirror, they feel better about themselves, and they just move a little differently. And that's kind of the stuff that I want to do with my organization, my brand, and my business. So that's where I'm headed.
I think that's probably a natural segue to conclude things and also kind of plug some of the expat extras that we're going to do. I think that that's a excellent opportunity for us to talk a little bit more about Chase Athletics. But we've also got some extras that are still basketball related. You interested in sticking around and doing some of those off the pod?
Let's do it.
All right. So that's the end of our episode with Chase. But there, as you can tell, there will be a lot more. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to us if you're not already subscribed, rate us a great review where you get your audio podcasts, and stay around for some of the extras.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you, Expat.